Austria, North Korea, Macedonia, Ukraine, and France share one thing in common. The leaders of these countries are either 40 or under 40, with the youngest leader being the Prime Minister of Austria, who will be 32 this year. Hello and thanks for joining us on Strictly Politics. My name is Shegun Adebo Wale. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has released a timetable for the 2019 elections. According to the timetable, National Assembly and Presidential elections are scheduled for February 16, 2019, while governorship and state legislative elections are to hold on March 2nd, 2019. The question to ask is this: what kind of leaders should we elect in 2019? And more importantly, what kind of a president should run the affairs of Africa's most populous nation, that is Nigeria? We'll try to answer these and many more questions after taking you around the happenings in the political space within and outside Nigeria. Do stay tuned.
Ahead of the 2019 general elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has met with the management of the Nigeria Communications Satellite NIGECOMSAT to enhance the INEC's bid to ensure electronic collation and transmission of election results. A statement by Chief Press Secretary to INEC Chairman Rotimi Oyekomi recalled that the INEC boss had recently had a very useful meeting with the Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC) as the regulator of the telecommunications sector in Nigeria. The Senate and House of Representatives committees on the amendments to the Electoral Act 2010 have agreed on the reshuffle of the order of polls during general elections in Nigeria. The implication is that the Senate has concurred with the House of Representatives on the proposal that a presidential poll be held last in the order of polls in 2019 and subsequent general elections. The concurrence was reached at a meeting by the Joint National Assembly Committee in Abuja, where the amended clauses in the Electoral Act were put to voice vote and all the clauses were unanimously adopted as amended by the House. With the proposed amendment, the National Assembly elections would now hold first, followed by the governorship and State House of Assembly polls, and later the presidential elections. The Deputy President of the Senate, Ike Ekweremadu, has said the ongoing amendments to the Electoral Act and the 1999 Constitution will be concluded in a matter of weeks. Ekweremadu said this when he received a delegation of the British High Commission in Nigeria, led by the High Commissioner Paul Arkwright, according to a statement by his Special Advisor on Media, Uche Anichukwu. Part of the amendment, he told the British envoy, was to remove the restrictions of the Independent National Electoral Commission from adopting electronic voting system in the conduct of elections in the country. The Deputy Senate President stated that concluding the amendments to the Electoral Act and the 1999 Constitution was top on the priority list of the 8th National Assembly to ensure better governance and smooth elections in 2019. Zimbabwe's ruling ZANU-PF party has reportedly warned its members against engaging in political violence as the Southern African country prepares for its forthcoming crunch presidential polls. According to the state-owned Herald newspaper, Masvingo Provincial Chairperson Ezra Chadzamira said that the party would take tough actions against anyone found contravening President Emmerson Mnangagwa's directive of having free and fair elections. Zimbabwe was set to hold its elections before the end of July after President Emmerson Mnangagwa recently pointed to an earlier date than expected following the ousting of longtime ruler Robert Mugabe. Speaking to party supporters in Bikifa, Chadzimira said there would be no sacred cows when dealing with perpetrators of violence. 8 candidates have been officially confirmed to run in Russia's March 18 presidential election. Vladimir Putin, hoping to win a 4th term, is the clear favorite. Opinion polls give him a lead of more than 60%. Putin comes 4th on the ballot paper as candidates are listed in alphabetical order. Police have repeatedly arrested opposition leader Alexei Navalny, who wanted to run for president but was barred. For years, the anti-corruption campaigner has organized mass protests against Putin.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good evening. From your favorite station, reaching you right where you are.
At home,
at work, or on the move.
We are right at your doorstep.
Never again miss a thing around the globe.
We are minutes by minutes on world events.
No matter how close or far from your world.
News from the right perspective.
News as it should be.
We are.
We are.
We are
Love What Plus News.
Love What Plus News.
Love What Plus News.
If you've just joined us, you're on to Strictly Politics. Let me ask you this question. What kind of a president do you think Nigerians need in 2019? While you're still pondering about this question, we went out and we sampled the opinions of Nigerians on the kind of president that they want in 2019.
I think the kind of president Nigeria wants, or Nigeria needs rather, is a president that is very vibrant, that makes the country's needs his priority, that cares for the country and, provides for we the masses, especially the youth, and, just make the country a better place for all.
Okay, from my perspective, I think we need a strong leader, really. Someone that would have the that would think about the people and not just the desire to rule. Because Nigeria over the time haven't produced leaders, and all we've been able to get are rulers who just get into power for the sake of what they desire. So I'll be looking at a leader that knows what the people want, has a vision for the nation, and is ready to lead with his heart, and definitely someone that cares about God.
First and foremost, I think we deserve a president that is God-fearing, number one, because without God, you can't do anything. Secondly, a president that is principled. Thirdly, a president that has the heart of his people. Without the people, we need the president. So you need the people, you need the president. If you have the heart of the people, then you will be a good leader. But above all, I think a president that needs God, that seeks God's consent in all he does.
Interesting and divergent opinions, yes, you will definitely say about that. And beyond sampling the opinions of Nigerians, we also sat down with the chairman of the editorial board of the Nation newspaper, Sam Omatseye. And if you know Sam Omatseye very well, he's one person who speaks very well. And this is Sam Omatseye at his very best, talking about the kind of president Nigeria needs in 2019. It's a pleasure having you on the program, sir.
It's my pleasure.
Okay, let me ask you this. What kind of president do you think Nigeria should have in 2019?
We need a president that has a vision, a president that can turn policy into example. We need a president that will fight anti-corruption without contradictions or moral questions. We need a president that will observe the rule of law, and we need a president above all that has a conscience for the ordinary person.
Should age be a factor?
Age is not really a factor so long as it doesn't stand in place of health. You can be old, there's no problem with age so long as age is agile.
But someone probably in his 70s, will he be as agile as someone who's in his 50s?
The question is not whether he's as agile as someone in his 50s. The question is whether he's agile enough in the mind to do what? Because when you are 70, you have quite some experience to project into the job. And you have a sense of vision and a sense of legacy more pointedly than when you are 50 and so on. But if you are 70 or you are in 70s, even if you are in your 50s and your health is an impediment to your ability to perform to the expectation of the people, okay, then you are not expected to take the job, because health is at the bottom of everything we do as humans, because we need agility of mind, right. But agility of mind will also go with at least the strength of body.
Is there a place for the civil service society in 2019?
The civil society has always been around, but the civil society is a very questionable part of Nigerian political evolution today, because a lot of the civil society see themselves as beholden to some political interests, and they're not necessarily detached from political partisanship. But that said, maybe one or two or three could be said to have a sense of detachment, which is necessary for holding the political society accountable. But civil society, in principle, are necessary for putting the feet of the political leaders to the fire. But the question is whether they have the capacity, the moral suasion, whether they have the temperament and the fiber to actually confront power.
Do you then say we should attribute the fact that they're a bit into politics, and that's why they're not as vibrant as they should be? Because civil society is not as vibrant now as it was then.
Yeah, we can talk about civil society in the military days during the time of Babangida and Abacha, and I was also involved with the Committee for Defense of Human Rights at CDHR as the secretary at that time. We had a sense of patriotic mission at that time. We were not beholden to any peculiar or insular interest, except that we wanted interests of the majority of Nigerians. We are a human rights body. I was secretary while their core was the president, while I was president there as secretary. I had to leave later. But the question was not whether we were credible at that time, was whether we could survive.
Okay.
I think the question now is that they want to survive at the expense of being credible.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who spent over close to 15 years before eventually became the president.
Yeah.
Do you think he also is not prepared for civil leadership, in spite of having waited for 15 years?
It is very stunning that for a person who spent such a long time running and expecting to be president, that he got up to such a slow start, and we still have a sense of the tardiness of things. Even today, over 2 years, about 2.5 years into his tenure. Buhari was head of state once, and his administration was also stymied by a certain impotence, an inability to actually move on with things. It was marked by what many saw as witch hunt of political people, throwing people in jail. There was not even real trial of anybody, and there was a sense of tardiness. He was talking about, even on the level of the economy, he was talking about trying to get the factories working again, and people were waiting for the factory to actually get working again. There was just a sense of paralysis, which was a little tempered by the warrior spirit of his deputy, Idiagbon. But Idiagbon turned out to be more of a showman in bravado rather than a man of action, because there was nothing really coming out from that administration. That was for sure, that there was nothing coming out of that administration at that time. Okay. And when there was conspiracy and Babangida came in and flushed him out, there was not much enthusiasm, because we thought that Babangida was cut from the same cloth. But Babangida turned out to be an even more deadly force as a leader, and a more lethal injection into the political society. The injection, the poison, we have not recovered from even up to today. So the Buhari now decided to come in. He tried to defrock his military image, his anger at the press, his civil rights together that was not good, and also his northern hegemonic perspective to things. He wanted to shed them, and those who supported him at that time, including myself, I thought that this was an opportunity for this man to redeem himself, to restore that image. But he came into power. The first thing that struck one was that for about 6 months, he didn't do anything. He didn't have a cabinet. He started arresting people. We thought the war on the corruption was on and so on, but we didn't get much of that. And up to today, we have not gotten so much out of him. But that said, we can say one, that in terms of agricultural vision, that there's much happening in the country on his watch. He has to take credit, but I don't know to what extent he actually engineered it. He has talked about agriculture and so on and so forth, but we have had states that are doing a lot of good in it. You have the tie-up between Lagos and Kebbi. We have Sokoto also doing something very, very interesting about agriculture. Of course, Borno under Shetima, in spite of all that is going on, is doing a lot of work going on. And yeah, it's possible that his governors go, but it is happening on his watch. So he has a way. There's a way that you say, well, this thing happened on this watch, and this man has been emphasizing agriculture and so on. So even in Kano, there are some people they are looking at silos in some parts of the country. The import bill has gone down even with rice, and we're importing less rice now. The Thai people are saying now that their business is suffering because we are not importing as much rice as we used to do. And some people say that the cost of some agricultural produce is going down. I've not really been able to personally prove that, but there's that sense that is going on. We also know that the currency has also been attacked, and the way Jonathan left the currency was so bad that the dollar at one time was feared will hit 1,000.
Does it deserve a second time?
Whether it deserves a second time, you don't say somebody deserves a second time until you see everybody, the one that is fighting against him. If we are to go ordinary by what has happened, he has worked snail-like. He has not worked with kind of urgency that the problems in the country demands.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good evening. From your favorite station.
Reaching you right where you are.
At home, at work, or on the move.
We are right at your doorstep.
Never again miss a thing around the globe.
We are minutes by minutes on world events.
No matter how close or far from your world.
News from the right perspective.
News as it should be.
We are.
We are. We are.
Love What Plus News.
Love What Plus News.
Love What Plus News.
Some people say it is dirty. Others insist it is just a game. But whatever and however you define politics, one thing is certain: we will always talk nothing but politics on this program, Strictly Politics. My name is Segun Adebowale. Join us. That's our political journey today on Strictly Politics. Remember that Nigeria can only be developed by Nigerians, and within your sphere of influence, ensure that you're contributing positively. My name is Segun Adebowale. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.